You are so done carrying the burden. You have been holding on to and carrying so much on your back and having so much pressure on your shoulders for so long, and you honestly like knew that there was something better in life. You knew that there was a reason why you were still fighting, but at the same time it was just like, why is it not over though? Why am I doing this over and over again? You had so many points where you were starting and stopping, right, where things started to get better and you thought that you were like recovering from what was going on, or you thought that maybe there was a chance for life to turn around for you, and then you were right back at the bottom of the hill. Like, I'm seeing like the myth of Sisyphus, right? Like Plato, and this idea of, I'm seeing like the myth of Sisyphus, right? Like this idea of rolling this boulder uphill over and over and over again, and just constantly feeling frustrated because you don't feel like you're moving forward. And, with the 10 of Wands being the very first energy in this card, like this person is exhausted and they're doing this for a reason. But as time goes by and as they continue to be exhausted, they're like, why did I even start this in the first place? Or when is it going to be over? And just constantly feeling stuck in that, right? This could also have something to do with creativity or a creative pursuit, or like some sort of entrepreneurship, business pursuit. Maybe you're a musician. There's something that you've been working on, especially with all the wands present, that you have been so focused on, and that has been your dream for years and years and years. And you have been focused so much on creating that, but it has felt like you're doing it for no reason, right? Like a big part of this burden feels like you being unseen, or you not being recognized for the art that you bring to the world, for the value that you bring to the world. And part of you has almost started to diminish what it is that you are bringing to the table, because you're like, and part of you is starting to not even believe that you're bringing anything good to the table, or that you are bringing anything of value up, or that your message is needed, because of how long you've been in this cycle of starting over and starting over and starting over. And it truly is exhausting. But there's a really important energy here, and that is the devil in reverse. And this is telling me that a big part of this cycle was something that, and I hate saying like, oh, you had to go through this negative thing, because I don't think that we need to experience lessons from negativity, but you have chosen to take the negativity and the difficulty of creating this endeavor. You've chosen to rise to the occasion every time. You were like, you know what? What if I just learn the lesson? What if I just keep going anyway? And part of this is like the energy that you should be proud of, because a lot of people would have given up, but you decided to persevere. I keep hearing the word persevere in my head now. And you chose to do that. You chose to keep going. And part of it was almost like stubbornness, right? Like you were like, if I'm going to give up, it's going to be my idea, but I'm not going to let some like shitty situation, or some person that, doesn't know anything about me, like I'm not going to let the reason for why I give up be something outside of myself. And because of that, because all these things kept coming at you left and right, you were like, I keep hearing like mama didn't raise no quitter. And I feel like you are someone that does not give up. You're someone that does not want to be defeated, right? And so a big part of what you went through, because you chose to continue to listen to the lessons, to continue to learn, to see what it is about yourself that you could change to make things easier for yourself, to break through limiting beliefs. Because you did that over and over again, you actually got what you needed to out of this lesson, like out of this period of your life. And because of that, things are starting to turn around, right? We have the Ace of Wands and the Page of Pentacles. And with this being an Ace of Wands, I don't even, it does mean that there's kind of a new cycle, but I don't see it in terms of, you creating something completely new necessarily. That could be true for some of you. But what I'm seeing more is a new mindset, a new approach to the message that you've always been meant to share, right? And I feel like even if you are a musician, even if you have a business, like there's a bigger purpose. I'm seeing like a health business even, or like some sort of food, but like very healthy, like sustainable kind of business. Maybe that's you. But regardless, like there's a message beyond what it is that you're trying to create. And you that was part of what you were fighting for, as well as you were fighting for something bigger than yourself. I'm hearing like if it was just for me, I would have given up, but it felt like there was a community on your back. It felt like there was someone else or people that you knew needed to hear the message that you wanted to share. Wow, that's really, really beautiful and really powerful. You are fighting for something bigger than yourself. And because you are fighting for something bigger than yourself, you chose to commit to the fight. You chose to stay dedicated regardless of what happened around you. And now, because of that, you're coming to what it is that you want to create with a fresh energy, with a fresh perspective. And that is bringing new life. I'm hearing new life. You're breathing new life into your project. And both of these cards look like offerings, right? And, the Page of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands together, like I'm seeing that you've learned so much, and a lot of these lessons I'm hearing came at an earthly cost. Maybe you feel like you have invested a lot financially into this project. Maybe the amount of time that this project has taken you has resulted in financial hits. Like there's something here about just investing a lot. Maybe this could be something that's not directly your business, but something that you've invested in, and are working with very closely, and you're trying to see how it's gonna, end up. There's something here about you physically putting a lot into the business, but also that physical investment, what you parted ways with physically, allowed you to be mentally and emotionally invested enough to commit to the lesson, to learn the earthly lesson. And the page is someone that has gone through the journey, right? That has gone through the Ace through 10 of Pentacle journey. And so while they're not the king yet, while they're not, this person that has really kind of, for lack of a better word, like mastered these experiences and these lessons and these ways of thought, they still have quite a journey under their belt. And so I'm seeing like you put out physical things, physical time, effort, exertion, finances, and you got back lessons, and you chose to learn from those lessons. And because of that you're bringing a very earthly, grounded understanding into this passion project of yours. Because you had to put so much into it, and because there was so much involved, you had no choice but to show up. Yeah, Eight of Pentacles. Look at that. The Eight of Pentacles just flipped over, and this is just a card about how much hard work you're doing, right? And how much you have put into this and getting involved in like the nitty gritty. So if this is a situation where you are, just like a financial investor, there's something here about you getting more involved than you needed to be. Or if this is a business, like you doing every single part of it, right? Maybe I'm hearing like one woman show, one man show. Maybe you run a business and do everything on your own. This could also be like someone being like a musician or some sort of artist, but you have more of an input than other people do. I'm also seeing or hearing like an influencer, like with ads, or like an influencer collaboration, but like you're actually getting involved in every piece of the process, right? You're doing more than like what other people would. And I feel like that's maybe a compliment that you've gotten. If it's not just directly your project and you're working with other people, they're seeing how involved you choose to be. And maybe someone said that to you recently. Seven of Swords. Interesting. Okay, I just heard you're your own worst enemy, and I just had a card fly out. I'm not going to go pick it up, but it's the Lover's card. But with the Seven of Swords and you're your own worst enemy, I'm kind of hearing like a lot of self-sabotage. Well, first of all, with the Devil in reverse, like you are breaking out of a lot of these energies, but this feeling of limitations, limiting beliefs, constantly getting in your own way is definitely coming up. And with the Seven of Swords, I'm also hearing trust issues, looking over your shoulder, right? This energy of always like having to watch your back. And part of this is related to experiences that you've actually been through, but like you developed a coping mechanism where you were always looking over your shoulder, but it also is related to like expecting the worst out of situations. And that was a big limiting belief that you had to break out of. And that might be part of what you're breaking out of right now. Wheel of Fortune on the bottom of the deck. But you started to see the worst in every situation, and it came from a place of wanting to protect yourself because you got caught off guard so many times that you were like, I'm not going to let that happen again. I have to always predict what someone could do. I have to predict how wrong this could go. And because of that, you forced yourself to A, work in isolation and only trust yourself, and B, just kind of push everyone else like at bay. And that actually can kind of relate to you doing every part of this alone. Wow, I get it. Okay, so you did so much of this alone, and part of that was good because you learned so many lessons that you had to learn. You got to see, I'm hearing, like every aspect of the industry. You got to see the thing that you're working on from a lot of different perspectives, and that is really good. But at the same time, it partially came from this place of hyper independence. And because you were so hyper independent and so focused on you being the only person you could trust and rely on, you put that pressure on yourself to do everything perfectly. Okay, so this is also kind of relating to perfectionism. Eight of Wands in reverse, Three of Cups. Okay, it's your time to collaborate. It's your time to find community. It's your time to find community. You cannot continue to exist in this hyper independent place. And that's actually, yeah, a lot of blessings are coming your way. But part of that is going along with the realizations that you need community. You need people around you. That is so huge. You are already learning this lesson. You're already on this journey of believing that other people can be good and believing that you can have fun with other people and you can collaborate and that not everyone is here to, betray you. But in a weird way, actually, you had this weird mechanism of self-protection through your art. Wait, this is so interesting. Okay. Because you only trusted yourself and because you learned every aspect of the industry, because you looked at what it is that you're trying to produce from every angle, you got into the weeds. I'm hearing into the weeds. You got into the weeds with every part of the process. And because of that, you know how it actually works. You know how things go. And because you know how things go, you also can recognize red flags. So in a weird way, you went about this in a roundabout kind of way that left you feeling exhausted and unrecognized and unvalued, but you also did learn all of these things along the way that taught you, what's normal, what someone is good, like how to recognize when someone is not doing it enough. Oh my God, why can't I speak? How to recognize when someone isn't doing enough, how to recognize when someone is going above and beyond, and also learning what your expectations are. I'm hearing you are meant to be a boss, but it's like the best bosses at the best companies have a real understanding of what every employee needs to be doing and what that's actually like to do it yourself. And because you're the kind of person that has touched every part of your business or touched every part of, this process of showing art or whatever it is that you're creating, you now know how to be a good boss. You know how to coach someone or teach someone or how to share expectations with someone that's working for you. This is so interesting. This is like a 10-year cycle. I keep hearing like 7 to 10-year cycle of you feeling like you're not getting anything done, feeling like you're not being productive, feeling like this is all for nothing. But you also felt like you weren't making progress because you weren't just focused on one thing. Because you were touching every aspect of the industry, quote unquote, you weren't able to see your progress in a linear way, right? Because you're like, for example, if you are a musician, you would focus on maybe vocal lessons, and then you would focus on learning an instrument or two, and then you would focus on, actually recording and what you need to do to be able to record, and then you would focus on producing it and learning like what you need to do to be a better producer, and then you would connect, to PR and to venues and to like creating this kind of buzz about yourself, social media, music videos, but because all of those are different skills, while you are focused on the same goal, when did the Four of Wands get here? I don't even remember putting another card down, but I looked down and the Four of Wands was here. Okay, okay. While you were focusing on different skills, you were not able to see your progress in a linear way. It's not like every day you were writing one song and seeing how you got better. You were doing one thing and then you got kind of good at that, and then you hopped over to this and you understood that, and then you hopped over to this. And so you were in the process of putting all the puzzle pieces together. But for you, you didn't have to put the puzzle together. You had to create every piece. You had to create the overall big picture. You had to dissect it into pieces. You had to create every single piece. And now you're watching it all come together. Holy crap. This is crazy. This is a wild reading. I recorded an entire reading on why Spirit is proud of you. And I recorded that reading and I killed it, and it was such a beautiful message. It was almost 50 minutes long. And then it completely didn't save. I've never had that happen to me before. I've never had that happen on any of the devices that I'm using. It just corrupted and not a second of it saved or could play. And so I said, you know what, Spirit, I'm taking that as a sign that that was not the video I was supposed to make. I'm just going to leave this open. And if we get a similar message, great. If we don't, we don't. I just left it open. And this is exactly what was meant to come through. But let's actually talk about this Four of Wands, though, because this Four of Wands, along with the Three of Cups that came out, I mean, can you tell me, like, this looks like joy. This looks like happiness. And what's interesting to me is that while there's a lot of cards, you know, maybe not a lot, but there's cards about community or connection, this one is the Three of Cups, and the cups being present shows me that emotionally you are ready for these connections. And this could be love, but this could also, if it is love or love related, the person that you either are starting to talk to or the person that you're going to meet is going to be like, you're going to have a deep friendship, and a deep friendship is going to be an important part of your relationship. That was something kind of separate, but for a lot of you, or for the rest of you, like, there's a real emotional opening to other people being around you. All of these cards that came up before were, you know, solitary cards of you just trying to figure it out on your own, right? Like, you working so hard. Look at how hard you're working. And look at how little you trust what's going on around you, right? But finally you learned that if you do make it, you don't want to be there alone. If you get everything you want, you don't want to experience it alone. And it's so much more fun to be creative with your friends. And if you are going to feel like you're doing all this work and not getting anywhere, you may as well have fun. And you may as well have fun with people that you love. And so part of you is like, if everything goes so well, I want people around me. And then the other part of you is like, if everything sucks, I want people around me. And that is actually like, yes, exactly. That is the lesson. The community, the connection is a big part of the abundance for you. And I love that. I love that lesson, because what you're gaining is not just the goal. What you're gaining is not just the creative, you know, the creative pursuit that it is that you want to create. You're not just achieving your goals. You are creating a true life for yourself that is meant to be. That is exactly what you want. I got the Emperor in reverse. And so this is interesting. It's kind of telling me that, like, you used to have a very tight grip on how you wanted to achieve your goals, when you were going to achieve them, why you wanted to achieve them. Everything was very serious. And it, you know, I feel like that was also because you were doing things alone. You weren't able to take a step back as easily and kind of laugh about things or try and process things. Like, when you are doing every part of something alone, and then when something goes wrong, it's kind of hard to sit back and just laugh about it when you're like, this is so much more work for me. This is so much more stress for me. I have no one to vent to. Like, you constantly get that feeling of being alone reflected back to you, and then it makes everything more and more serious. And so what this is telling me is that you are learning how to work with more flow and less harsh discipline. Because the thing is, a lot of what was motivating you is being like, well, I have to do this, I should do this. And you forgot to have some sort of joy in that passion, in that experience, right? I'm hearing assistant. Some of you may get like a part time assistant, a virtual assistant, or just someone that is actually like your full on, full time, in person assistant. And that is going to make this process so much better. Not because you're just giving them grunt work, but because you know what you need help with and you know what allows you to thrive and what your talent actually is. Instead of you doing every single part of it, you're able to focus more on the things that you do best, which allows you to do more of them. And having some sort of help and being blessed with the opportunity to have help is going to be really, really, is going to, oh my God, I just like, excuse me. I just completely could not talk. But that's going to make this process a lot easier. 10 of Pentacles. 10 of Pentacles, dude. And again, another card about connection, community, experiencing other people and joy around you. Also, 10 of Wands and 10 of Pentacles next to each other, two tens, very much the end of a cycle, very much the end of this like limiting, hyper independent cycle where you just don't feel like you're enough, where you don't feel like you're able to take a step back and say, I'm not going to worry about that today, right? Like this cycle of being so, like I'm hearing workaholic, you were only able to find joy in the work and then it became not joyful and it was still all you were able to do. And so, yeah, you may have very easily burned out. Dude, King of Pentacles. Okay, and then I also got the reverse Knight of Pentacles. And so this is also telling me, like, allow it to come easier, right? Like the Knight, they're not necessarily moving. They're still on this picture, but they're still on a quest. They're still on a journey. And so seeing this along with the King of Pentacles and looking at how relaxed this King of Pentacles is, I love this deck so much. I love, like, this femme, beautiful energy. But the King of Pentacles looks so relaxed and so at ease and so sure of the abundance around them, right? But they're not greedy. They're not in search of it. They're just existing within it. And they are able to see it from different sides and also see how to be in right relationship with their finances, with the world around them, instead of feeling like, you know, they're bogged down by these responsibilities. This person, the King of Pentacles, probably has more responsibilities than this person. And yes, they have more abundance, and yes, they have more resources as well, which is a huge piece of the puzzle, but they also still have more responsibilities, and they're able to manage it in a different way because of their mindset, because of their acknowledgement that, yes, I do have responsibilities, but I am able to come at it with a very joyous and kind of focused and grounded approach. And with this Knight in reverse, this is telling me for you not to work so hard and to let things be easier. I saw the phrase work smarter, not harder, like 4 different times in different contexts today. And I feel like that's really relevant to this message because you are learning how to just work in that flow and let go of this super disciplined, harsh, kind of set in stone work relationship and instead move into a place of joy and flow and community and creation. So I'm going to leave you there. If you want a personal reading, go to blacksheepexperience.com and book a one-on-one voice note reading or a one-on-one Zoom session where we can sit down for an hour or half an hour and actually get into all of your personal questions. I'll catch you next time.